Hi, good morning. Welcome to Reflections. Today I'm in the field and I'm at a very interesting project in Newark, New Jersey. It's an urban farm run by the Newark Conservancy, and they are planting several different products on 2 acres of land made available by the state of New Jersey. It's a wonderful project. I have personally been involved in it. I've had 2 beds here a couple of years ago, and today I'm back to try to get a little bit of information to present to you, my viewers, who I'm sure will find this a very interesting and novel project in the middle of an urban community. So stay tuned. We'll be talking to a couple of people, and we hope that you will be inspired by what we present to you today. So once again, Patrick Tomlinson from Reflections. Stay tuned.
Greater Newark Conservancy was founded, like many nonprofits, on a little folding table in someone's living room, and a bunch of interested people who said kids in Newark should have the chance to plant flowers and see beauty, not just concrete and asphalt.
People who walk through this door find some way to be involved, even if it's just walking around the beautiful gardens. There's a way to connect with nature and with each other. The organization started as a community greening organization, a neighborhood beautification.
We're a support system for kids who don't see any other options available to them. So even if it's working in a nonprofit or taking my position, right, is not making the most, but is actually having a great impact on the community, is very fulfilling to myself and can be fulfilling to them if they want to work at it.
Edwin Ortiz, or Chino as we know him, came through our reentry program. You could just tell from the minute you met Edwin that he was somebody that was never going back.
I was convicted in 1986, and I was released in September of 2016. The crime that I committed was murder, and unlike stealing a bike, breaking into someone's house and taking their property, those things can be replaced. When you take someone's life, that cannot be replaced. It was my first job here at the Conservancy as a horticulturalist. I couldn't tell the difference between a weed and a rose, but they taught me the difference between a weed and a rose, and compost and things. It was amazing. All the trauma, all the pain that I've caused in my community, all the damage, that I have to help repair it. I am part of the solution, for all the stuff that's going on in our community, because I help contribute to it. So it was very important for me to come back to Newark and be part of my community.
We partner with several local organizations. They come and help pack 2,000 bags a week. Those food things are donated from table to table, but also some other organizations and groups that have a constituency that can take 100 or 200 bags of food, and then the food gets delivered to seniors and families who are in crisis. People thought, well, why are you doing something environmental in Newark? Having a healthy environment where people are eating healthy foods, clean air for people to breathe, clean water for people to drink. If you tied all of those things together, you could create a much more healthy city.
Right now, we're the best kept secret in Newark, and we don't want to be that. We want everybody to know about the great work we're doing here in Newark.
Mark Kearney. I'm here at the Hawthorne Avenue Farm. I work for the Greater Newark Conservancy here in Newark. This farm is 3 acres. It is the biggest urban farm in the state of New Jersey. I came here through the reentry program in the city of Newark. We start out on Court Street. That's downtown. It was a 2-acre lot, and we had some guys who were ex-offenders, and Greater Newark Conservancy started a garden project, and they asked me if I would be willing to help lead in it, and I said sure. So we started growing vegetables. The young men would come from incarceration or in the community, didn't have jobs, was unemployed, and they came out to the farm, they got paid, and they learned how to grow. In the very beginning, they really didn't like it much because they thought it was girls' work, but when they start to see the plants grow, they realized that it was important. And then at some point, once it got to the height that it did and the vegetables was growing, they brought their mothers, their brothers, their girlfriends, their sons, their daughters, and that's my introduction into gardening. So now I'm at the Hawthorne Avenue Farm, and we just began to work on it again. I came back in 2017 to work at this farm, and it's really been a very great success for the community. We have college students who come, Rutgers, we have corporations, we have, they all come out, they volunteer, we have Earth Day here. And it's just been an awesome experience for me as well as the community. We're engaging the community to come out and grow their own vegetables, to interact with one another, and it's really been great. Now that we have this coronavirus here in the city, it's been a good place because now people understand the value of growing their own vegetable. If by any chance there's a problem with the source, the connection between the farmer and to the table, we have something right here in Newark that we can grow. May not can feed everybody, but we can feed our immediate area. So it's awesome. If you look around, you see it's a great place, and I love doing what I do. It is truly a labor of love for me.
So, Mark, how long have you been associated with
Since 2011, I've been associated with the Greater Newark Conservancy, 32 Prince Street. The director is Robin Darity, and she hired me. Again, I came in also as an ex-felon in the prison reentry program. I was very fortunate to work only a couple of days, and then I was offered a position, mainly because of the leadership they seen in me, the quality that I would do the job, but also lead young men to do the right thing while we're working. So that allowed them to look at me as a prospect to be hired, and I was hired on, and maybe about a week after I was employed here, which was a blessing.
Excellent. So, Mark, what would you say is how can it impact the lives of persons like yourself and young men from the community?
Well, the first thing is that they get to see that once you put a seed in the ground, life is in the seed. And if you nurture a plant and you watch that plant grow, once that plant reaches a stage where you can actually eat it, it nourishes you. So it begins to infect their mind, their heart, and their soul to understand that that plant is alive and it can give them life. And then once they see that it's relaxing, it's very mentally, it's soothing to the mind to sit and to weed and to plant. And most men, and I'm one of them, really never took time to even do that. You know, we don't know that. This year I grew flowers. Awesome. And then I pick every 7 days I pick the flower. I think that the men that came out through the programs and came out and began to work in the field and till the ground and labor and look back and see what they've done, see things growing, see people coming in and buying the produce and seeing seniors getting it at a total discount, not even really at any real high price, but they get to see it and then they bring their loved ones. It changes their mindset. It takes a guy that's tough and rough. It makes you understand that, hey, man, I don't have to be hard. I can just enjoy myself. I can enjoy life. So that's why I think farming and gardening, it's a tool to relax a person, to give a person hope. It's very important.
Okay. Now, Mark, I know at one point you were growing, there's an apiary where you did bees You did chickens. Can you speak a little, even although you might not have that now, can you speak a little bit about that for the next 30 seconds?
Yeah, so at Court Street, we had chickens and we had bees. We had a beekeeper who would come in and tend to bees. And that was also an awesome thing for the young men who never been around bees and watch them grow. They would just sit and watch the bees go in and out. The chickens would lay eggs. They would feed the chickens. They go in there and lift up the cover and take eggs out every day. Mind blowing. You go to the store and you take an egg off the shelf, but to actually go under the chicken where the chicken just laid the egg and take that egg and eat it, it's a new concept. You really think about how you eat and what you're eating. Really.
Okay. Excellent. Everything here is organic, right? As Malcolm said yesterday.
Everything. We encourage the people that come in is to use all organic, all of our seeds are organic, and we also want to say that we're vegan friendly so that we can say there's no chemicals in here. Our soil has been tested by the state, by Rutgers. There's nothing in our soil. Our water has been tested. Our water is great. So we really are we're in a very special place here.
Excellent.
A very special place.
So just take another 20 seconds in wrapping up, Mark, and just summarize your experience and your love and dedication for this farm.
I get to meet people every day. Just had a young lady brought her son, and she wanted to show him what farming is all about, how to grow. So there was a place that she can come that's right on her block, that she can bring her child and walk around and show him. I get to meet the seniors who can come in and say, hey, I used to farm when I was a little girl. Or I come from the South and I was a farmer. And they say, oh, this is great. Or I have people drive and just sit and eat their lunch looking inside saying, wow. So it is, for me, it is the best thing that I've ever done. I've never had a job I didn't love. But this is one that I can see when I'm old or when I leave here, I have something that I can look back on and say, you know what, I do have a legacy. I have left something. And if this garden, as long as it's here, it represents the hope of our community, the hope of the citizens who come and go from here, and it shows everyone that you can do this in the heart of the city.
Thank you so much, Mark.
You're very welcome.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Easy, baba. Yes, yeah. Easy, baba. Yes, yeah. Highly blessed. Very cool. Yes, yeah. Highly blessed. Very cool.
My name is Mark Kearney. We are at the Greater Newark Conservancy, and this is the Newark Hawthorne Avenue Garden Farm here in Newark, New Jersey. When I first started, I didn't know anything about gardening. We had a reentry program that we were just cleaning lots, and our director, Robin Doherty, went to the mayor and asked if there were any empty lots that we could maybe begin to grow vegetables in, and they gave us this lot and another lot. That opportunity opened doors for me, and I was able to get back on my feet, meet new people, help other guys that were struggling, and it's just been a great opportunity for me. So when the volunteers come, they help me. We have 52 rows, and when you have different things growing at different times, they have to be pruned or watered. And sometimes when you're working by yourself, you're not going to be able to do it. That's what I love about doing this, just to see this stuff grow right here in the heart of Newark, in the belly of Newark. You got this oasis of vegetables and flowers. It's beautiful. I love it. My life has been so rich. I'm having fun with the little stuff. Just the little stuff excites me. So every day is exciting for me. And I love meeting people. So you have people who come and I always tell them, even if you're half an hour, you made a difference here. I don't care. I have some people come and they'll just sit in one of these chairs. I kid you not. They'll come to volunteer and they'll sit. But they don't understand. They just made my day. When you're working and then you look back and you see that person enjoying the peace, that makes your day. That's why we do what we do.
Well, today we're with Daniel Marshall, a volunteer from Minneapolis, Minnesota, who is monitoring the farm on a Saturday morning. So I'll introduce you to Daniel. Daniel?
Well, I got involved. I'm a volunteer through the Jesuit Volunteer Corps. So they arranged my position with the Greater Newark Conservancy. So with the Conservancy then, I manage this Plot It Fresh, the community garden here. And I also work with some of the gardens at the Conservancy and some of the other greening development projects around the city. Okay,
so how long have you been involved in this project?
I have only been here for about a month, so I'm very new at the position.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, so about a month.
Yes.
You're telling me you're from Minnesota?
Minnesota, correct.
Area Minnesota?
Yeah, suburb of the Twin Cities.
Do you have any similar projects like this in Minnesota?
I would say there are some urban farms in Minneapolis, St. Paul. I think there's not as much of an urban-rural divide. It seems like the city was planned with more green spaces in mind.
Okay.
And that's been,
St. Paul.
Yeah, I would say both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been my first impression of coming to Newark, is that it is very much an urban environment.
Okay.
So that's why I was so happy with the position that they found me, because it does work to incorporate these green spaces and the gardens in the city.
Okay. Roughly how many residents do you serve currently? Do you have an idea?
Right here we have around 200 beds, so probably about 150 gardeners at this garden.
150,
yeah.
Amazing. And I took some shots of the various things that are planted here. Can you tell us a little bit, just run through briefly, to tell us a little bit about the range of things that are planted here?
Sure. Yeah, well, on the back on the farm, we grow a lot of collard greens, kale, a couple varieties of kale. We had some cabbages, different varieties of tomatoes, okra, beets, carrots, cucumbers, different varieties of green beans or string beans. We had some butternut squash. We still have those. Sweet potatoes are coming in, as well as yellow squash, zucchinis, and we had some watermelons and cantaloupes as well.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about your planting season or your planting cycle? How does that work? From when to when do you plant, or how does the planting season go?
For the community garden?
Yes, for the community garden.
So that part is open March 15th through November 15th, weather permitting.
Okay, March 15th through?
November 15th.
Okay, very good.
Yes.
Now, Daniel, behind you, there are some trees. Yes.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? They look like fruit trees.
Yeah, so these, both this one and the one over here, are orchards that were planted recently. So there's some different varieties of cherry trees, pear trees, peach trees, and some
Okay.
apple trees in there.
Have you had the opportunity to do any harvesting or reaping of fruits from these trees
Not me personally,
Okay.
but they have borne
in the past?
fruit,
Okay,
yes.
very good. So overall, how would you characterize your experience being associated with an urban garden such as this?
I've really enjoyed it. I love the mission of the Conservancy
Okay.
to kind of bring green spaces into urban spaces and encourage people to get outside, grow their own produce, healthy
Right.
eating.
Okay.
So I think the mission and then everything with like sustainability, with the environment has
Right.
been, it aligns really well with my values.
And everything is pretty much organic.
It's, yes, everything here
Okay,
is
okay,
organic.
okay.
Yeah.
The excess food that you have, how do you handle that? Can you tell us a little bit about
Yeah,
that?
so we sell some of it at farm stands that we hold here and at other locations around the city.
Right.
And then we also have donations set up, one with Covenant House and a couple other shelters in the city
Okay.
as well.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So we have also had arrangements with some restaurants over the years that we give produce to, but it's a lot of donating. Yeah,
Okay.
donating, yeah.
Well, Danielle, I want to thank you for taking the time out to speak to us about your association with the Newark Conservancy. And I want to wish you the best for your stay here and much success.
Great.
in
Thank
their
you so
farm.
much.
Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, my name is Malcolm McLean and I'm the program coordinator for the Newark Youth Leadership Project at Greater Newark Conservancy. So the Newark Youth Leadership Project is a job training program for Newark high school students and college students during the summer. So during the school year, it's an after school program where we employ students for about 8 to 10 hours a week and we bring them on site to work with our staff in a few different departments. We have our horticulture department where our interns learn to work with our horticulturalists on site to maintain the garden that we have at the Conservancy. Interns in that department also learn how to work a hydroponic system, which is really great. It's a really developing field where people are making a lot of money. So we're making sure that our interns know a lot of hard skills that they can translate into, things that they can advertise for themselves in the future. We also have our education department. So in this department, our interns work with our education staff to put on different programs in Newark elementary and high schools throughout the city. We also have our media department where interns work with our director of external relations to do different media projects on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram to get other people involved at the Conservancy and the different work that we do. And finally, we have our urban farming department where our interns work with our farmer and our farm manager on our 2.5-acre urban farm in Newark, learning how to plant different vegetables, how to grow vegetables, how to maintain a farm, and all the work that it takes to get the food that we eat on our tables from the farm and the entire pathway that takes. So that's our school year program. And then also during the summer, we partner with the city of Newark to have a 6-week summer program where students work in those same departments. And we also bring in college students to help learn, to help guide them and mentor them through those different departments, but also to teach them about college and then life after high school and different things that they can do to get involved in the community that they're residing in.
So how long have you been?
Yes. So I've been in my current position as the Newark Youth Leadership Project Coordinator for about a year and 3 or 4 months. I actually graduated from the program as a college student. I was here in 2016 and I actually worked in the urban farming department. So I was out here for 16 hours a week, working with a group of 8 to 10 high school students. And we were here just learning the different skills that go into urban farming and what it actually means to be a farmer and to provide food for the community.
Okay. Was farming or agriculture a part of your college experience?
So farming and agriculture was not a part of my farming experience until I actually came to Greater Newark Conservancy and I interned here for those, it was 6 weeks and then 4 additional weeks. So for about 2 months during the summer. But then after I was here over the summertime, I actually got an appreciation for farming and I, learned some of the benefits to actually growing your food yourself, right? So you know where it comes from, you know that there are no pesticides or other chemicals on it, right? And you just get the satisfaction of having planted the seeds yourself and then maintaining that, and then, developing that seed all the way until it gets to a fruit or a vegetable that you can then consume with your family, friends, or whatever like that. And then, after being a part of the program, I came back here to then lead the program because I think it's such a great program, and I would like to really teach the skills that I learned over my 2 months at the Conservancy and help other Newark High School students who were in very similar positions to me learn about urban farming, learn about gardening, learn about healthy food, and the best ways to put good food into our bodies so that we can lead the most productive lives possible.
Okay. So did you grow up in Newark?
Yes, I grew up in Newark. Actually, have 5 generations of my family in Newark.
Wow.
And then my great uncle actually had a farm in a little lot over on West Kinney Street in Newark.
Okay, very good, very good.
Yeah, so I would encourage all youth to make sure that they know their resources. So for me, right, it was different members of my family or part of my school or church groups and things like that where I was able to find that community, right? So part of it is like knowing yourself, but you don't have to know yourself completely, right? It's figuring out maybe what are some of your interests, what are some of your passions, or if you haven't developed that yet, it's what are some things that you just like to do or that, don't bore you completely. And then once you have that, then, it's starting to find different people who can help connect you to make it so that those interests that you have can be built into something like a career, for example, or maybe just an internship, right? Like I was saying, I got my current job through an internship that I had when I was in college. But I know plenty of other people who didn't go to college, for example, and who worked with other people in the community, either at a church or at an organization, a nonprofit or something like that, built some skills, did some networking. And then once they had that group of people who were invested in their growth, and then once they really, figured out what they wanted to do, then it was really easy connecting them with other members of the community or figuring out what are those next steps that, you have to take in order to make you successful in whatever path you want to lead. But I'll say if you don't have a path, then it's really start somewhere, right? You know that you want to be a productive member of society, whatever that looks like, right? There's no one way, one right way to do it. Is really exploring your own interests and being willing to take risks, to try new things. A large part of our program is making sure that people know, right, that farming is an option or that gardening is an option. Where typically, youth from our communities are taught that you have to be a doctor, a lawyer, a basketball player, a musician in order to be successful. Our program really encourages teaching people that you can be successful in these different career paths that, maybe aren't popular where you're from, or, don't know that much about, but you can really learn about it. And then you can, change the community, just by, starting a seed and then watching where it grows. And, just developing your own interests, even if you don't have a path laid out for you, from the time that you're 5 years old or 10 or 15 or 18, there's never really a good time to get started. And people really do things at all moments of their lives, and can really become successful no matter when they start the journey of whatever they want to embark on.
Excellent.